Sometimes, life writes stories too strange for fiction. From impossible odds to eerie historical parallels, these real-life coincidences will make you question whether fate, luck, or something else entirely is at play. British Marine Andy Grant tattooed Liverpool's slogan, "You'll never walk alone," on his leg. After losing that leg in an explosion during service, the tattoo became grimly ironic, now reading, "You'll never walk." He later turned the tragedy into motivation, becoming a Paralympic runner. British mother Barbara Soper made global news after giving birth to her 3 children on 8th of August 2008, 9th of September 2009, and 10th of October 2010. Doctors calculated the odds at roughly 1 in 50 million, a once-in-several-lifetimes calendar miracle. In 1950, a church in Beatrice, Nebraska, exploded just minutes before choir practice. Miraculously, all 15 choir members were late, for 15 separate reasons. Not one person was hurt. The odds of such timing? Astronomically small. Some coincidences are unsettling. And then there's the Lincoln-Kennedy connection. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846, John F. Kennedy, exactly a century later, in 1946. Lincoln became president in 1860, Kennedy in 1960. Both men focused heavily on civil rights, and both had wives who lost children while living in the White House. It gets stranger. Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy, who warned him not to go to the theater, while Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln, who advised him not to go to Dallas. Both presidents were shot in the head on a Friday, in the presence of their wives. Lincoln was shot in Ford's theater, while Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln, a car made by Ford. Their assassins shared uncanny similarities too. John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald both had 3 names with 15 letters, and each was killed before being brought to trial. Booth shot Lincoln in a theater and fled to a warehouse. Oswald shot Kennedy from a warehouse and fled to a theater. Even their successors were eerily linked. Lincoln's vice president was Andrew Johnson, born in 1808. Kennedy's successor was Lyndon Johnson, born in 1908, exactly 100 years apart. It's a web of parallels so precise that it continues to fascinate historians, conspiracy theorists, and anyone who believes history might just repeat itself. Twins Jim Lewis and Jim Springer were separated at birth and raised apart, yet led near-identical lives. Both married women named Linda, divorced, and remarried women named Betty. Both had sons named James Allen and worked in law enforcement.
How did you ever find out along the way that you had a brother?
Jim's known for quite some time.
Right.
For the final adoption papers, that's when she found out that I had a twin brother.
Right, now my parents, when I was 6 years old, went to adopt another child, and they found I was twin, but however, they was told that he died at birth.
What are some of the similarities that have happened in your lives?
Well, Jim's been married 3 times, I've been married twice. His first wife, name is the same as mine.
His first wife is the same name as yours.
And our second wife are both first name. We both named our first son the same, James Allen. We both have brothers named Larry.
So they took you where?
And we went to University of Minnesota for a week, and we was up there for a whole week for just a complete battery of tests. They told us to draw something. Of course, we're separate. I mean, he's someplace in the university in the afternoon, I'm in there. So we told us to draw something, so I drawed a picture of a person, of a body, scribbled one out, the whole body. Well, when they took him in the afternoon, he done the same thing. Yeah. They also gave us, they give you a picture of something and make a story up about what, give your view of what
the story. In other words, they give you a picture and then they'd say, write a story.
Right, make up story and make it a beginning and an end, And so we both come up with the same thing on that.
In 1900, King Umberto I of Italy met a man identical to him, same name, birthday, wife's name, and restaurant business. The next day, that man was killed in an accident. Hours later, the king was assassinated. History still can't explain the eerie timing. Author Mark Twain was born in 1835, the year Halley's Comet appeared. He famously said he'd die when it returned. True to his prediction, he passed away in 1910, the very year the comet reappeared in the sky. Before Lincoln's assassination, his son Robert was pushed off a train platform and saved by actor Edwin Booth. Months later, Edwin's brother, John Wilkes Booth, would assassinate Lincoln. A tragic twist that no novelist would dare write. The car Archduke Franz Ferdinand rode in when he was assassinated bore the license plate AIII 118. His death on June 28, 1914, triggered World War I, which ended on 11th of November 2018. A chilling coincidence hidden in plain sight. In 1898, author Morgan Robertson published Futility, a novel about a massive ship called Titan that hit an iceberg and sank in April. 14 years later, the Titanic met the same fate, with uncanny details matching the book. Actor Josh Ryan Evans, known for playing Timmy on the soap opera Passions, died on the same day the episode aired depicting his character's death. Fans were stunned. Fiction and reality had collided in the cruelest coincidence. In 1951, both the US and the UK released comic strips titled Dennis the Menace, featuring mischievous boys. Neither creator knew about the other. The two debuted on the exact same day across the Atlantic. A man in Scotland bought a used book while traveling, only to discover it was the same copy he'd owned as a child, complete with his name still scribbled inside. After decades, his favorite book had found its way back to him. Two Finnish twin brothers were hit by the same train, on the same stretch of road, just 2 hours apart. They weren't traveling together. Both were on separate trips. Police said the odds were astronomical. A Detroit man rescued a toddler who fell from a second-story window for the second time in his life. Both were different children from the same building. It's as if fate had placed him there twice. A British reporter hit the streets asking random people if they remembered the 1967 FA Cup final. By sheer luck, she interviewed Liverpool's actual goalkeeper from that very match, without realizing it until later.
I'm just wondering whether you remember the Derby match in 1967 at Goodison, FA Cup, 5th round, and it was shown on a big screen at Anfield at the
That's
same
right.
time. Do you remember it?
Yeah, I do. I played in it.
Did you?
I was goalkeeper for Liverpool.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a stroke of luck, me meeting
nice.
you.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you remind me of your name?
Tommy Lawrence.
Tommy, nice to meet you. What do you remember about it?
It was a great game, yes. Alan Ball scored the winner.
You did indeed.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Violet Jessop, a ship stewardess, survived not one, not two, but 3 of the most famous ship disasters in history. She was on board the RMS Olympic when it collided with another ship, the Titanic when it sank in 1912, and later the Britannic, which also sank during World War I. She survived all 3. Statistically, her odds of being on, and surviving, all 3 sinkings were almost 0. She became known as Miss Unsinkable. When the Hoover Dam was built in 1935, a worker named J.G. Tierney tragically fell to his death during construction, becoming the first recorded fatality of the project. Exactly 14 years later to the day, the last person to die during its construction was his own son, Patrick Tierney. Both father and son died in the same place, on the same date, a haunting circle of fate that made headlines for its eerie timing. In 1975, in Bermuda, a man riding a moped was struck and killed by a taxi. A year later, his brother, also named Erskine Lawrence Ebbin, was riding the same moped on the same street when he was hit and killed by the same taxi, driven by the same driver, carrying the same passenger. Two identical accidents, 1 year apart, that left investigators speechless. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.